Today's devotion is on quite the lengthy article of the Apology to the Augsburg Confession. It's Article 24, the Mass. And I mentioned yesterday that this the Book of Concord is organized kind of by paragraphs, and I said that yesterday's was a really long article because it had like 70 some odd paragraphs. Well, today's has 99, and they go. It covers a lot, obviously. Like that's a good chunk of text, but they get at a couple core things. One of the first ones is they talk about the language of the Mass, so for us we would talk about maybe the worship service, and these services used to be in Latin. This article kind of starts off by saying that it's appropriate to do the Mass in the vernacular language, in the language everyone speaks. And here it says, ceremonies should be observed so that people may learn the Scriptures, and that so that admonished by the Word they may experience fear and faith, and finally even pray. For these are the purposes of the ceremonies. They're to develop our faith. They are to give us an opportunity to pray and to learn. But it's defending, the tradition. It says we keep traditional liturgical forms, such as the order of the readings. We keep prayers. But then it goes into a misunderstanding of the Mass as a sacrifice. To somehow earn salvation. And this is where the bulk of this article, like the lion's share of this article, takes place, is it's talking about how worship is not a sacrifice. Okay, so what does that mean for us today? How do we, why do we care about this discussion today? And it is, I'm going to say something radical, so you have to stick around for the entirety of this devotion. You have to listen to the entirety of what I'm going to say, okay? You don't have to go to church to be saved. That's the core, that is the fundamental thing they're getting at here. It is another place where they're standing against works righteousness. You going to church does not somehow sacrifice Jesus again. Your salvation is not earned by going to church every Sunday. Okay, so that's my radical thing that I'm saying. That hopefully isn't that radical. We go to church. It's the same thing as saying you don't need good works to be saved. But if you have faith, and faith is what saves you, that faith is going to drive you to good works, and that faith is going to drive you into worship. Okay, if someone comes up to me and tells me, I'm a Christian, I believe, and they say, but I never go to church, I'm going to have some very serious questions about your faith, because you believe God is all-powerful. You believe God loves you. And God tells us to be in community. God tells us to gather to worship Him. So if you believe He loves you and you believe He's almighty, you have that faith that you're telling me you have, and you don't show up to worship, what you're saying is, yeah, I believe in God, but I don't actually care what He says. So there's a little bit of a hesitation for me. And the reality is, we say, what is worship for? And it says, they write here, worship is to experience faith and fear, and to pray and to learn. And you might say, I'm there. I have a healthy fear, a healthy respect of God. I experience faith. I pray on a regular basis. And I don't feel like I need to learn more. First of all, none of us knows everything we need to know, right? You can always pull something from the community experience. But I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. You might not need to be there on Sunday, but someone else might need you to be there, right? In a community, in a healthy community, you are not always receiving. Sometimes you are the giver. So Next Sunday morning, when you wake up and you feel like, I don't really feel like I need to go to church this morning, get yourself out of bed, put some clothes on, and get to church, because you're right, you might not need it. But someone else might need what you have to say there. This is something I say over and over and over again because I think it's profoundly true. And I think it's contrary to a lot of how we view things. Because we view, like it or not, we view a church and most everything else through a consumer mentality. Do I need something? Am I getting something? And the reality is, church is not always for you. Sometimes you are there for the church. Sometimes you are there for someone else. That is my soapbox, and we are over time. So if you have comments, if you have questions, please put them below. I check on a daily basis so I can respond to those as necessary. And with that, brothers and sisters, go in peace. Serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.